I kept on saying, no, that's not her. That's not her. I prayed the whole time I seen the picture to the time I got to the scene, hoping it wasn't her, but it was her. She just my first everything. She the one made me a mama. She's the one made me a grandmama. Some just told me I had just went down Riverdale. Some was just telling me just turn around and just go see if that's her truck. That's when I seen my son-in-law, and he ran to me, and that's when I really knew it was her, because the way he ran to me and broke down, and I kept asking where my daughter was. He kept saying,
This is Ashley Kimmons, a 33-year-old mother of four from Memphis, Tennessee, who was found shot and killed in a shopping plaza parking lot on March 6, 2026.
New this morning, a mother is speaking out after losing her daughter. You're seeing the scene here where it all played out. The family still with a lot of questions this morning after she was accidentally shot, and it involved her own child, a toddler.
some just told me I had just went down Riverdale. Some was just telling me just turn around and just go see if that's her truck. That's when I seen my son-in-law, and he ran to me, and that's when I really knew it was her, because the way he ran to me and broke down, and I kept asking where my daughter was. He kept saying, he kept on saying her name.
Police called it an accident, saying her 4-year-old son got hold of a gun inside the car and pulled the trigger. And just like that, a woman who spent her whole life making sure her kids were straight was gone before she even knew what hit her. And the detail that is going to sit with you long after this video is done is who was in the car with them. Before we get into everything, let me take you back to who Ashley actually was, because this woman deserves to be known as more than a headline. Ashley Kimmons was born around 1992 or 1993 and grew up right there in South Memphis. She married Christopher Kimmons, and the two of them built their family together in the Hickory Hill area of Southeast Memphis, the kind of area where people are just out here trying to live their lives. By the time March 2026 came around, Ashley and Christopher had 4 kids together, a 16-year-old daughter, an 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old son. And from everything anybody who knew Ashley has said, taking care of those 4 kids was basically her whole world. Her mother, Carolyn Hamer, is the one who has spoken most publicly about who Ashley was as a person, and the way she describes her oldest daughter tells you everything you need to know.
Through tears of confusion and heartbreak, this mother says memories are all she has left of her oldest daughter.
She just my first everything. She the one made me a mama. She's the one made me a grandmama.
Ashley was Carolyn's oldest daughter, the child who made her a mother, and the same one who later gave her her first grandchild. That bond between those two women runs through this entire story, and it becomes especially painful when you understand how Carolyn found out what happened to Ashley that Friday afternoon, which we will get to. People who knew her in Memphis described her as a beloved mother and a hardworking woman, somebody who was always focused on making sure her kids were taken care of. She was not famous or out there in the public eye. She was just a Memphis mother doing what mothers do, and she was good at it. In the days leading up to March 6, 2026, Ashley had been in a particularly good mood because her eldest daughter was about to turn 16. That is a big deal for any parent, and Ashley had been talking about it. She had no way of knowing that Friday was going to become the worst day her family had ever seen. Now let me tell you how March 6th actually went, because the sequence of events matters. That afternoon, Ashley, her husband Christopher, and at least 2 of their youngest children were out together near their neighborhood. They ended up in the parking lot of a retail shopping plaza on the 7000 block of East Shelby Drive, near Riverdale Road, which is a regular commercial strip in Hickory Hill, the kind of place with storefronts and a big open parking lot where people are coming and going all day on a Friday. The family was in Ashley's white compact Audi SUV, and at some point while they were in that car, something went terribly wrong. At exactly 2:53 in the afternoon, 911 calls started coming in about a shooting at that plaza. Memphis Police Department officers responded and found Ashley inside the Audi with a single gunshot wound. She was pronounced dead right there at the scene, in that parking lot with her husband beside her. Now here's how Carolyn Hamer found out what happened to Ashley that Friday afternoon, and this part of the story is a lot to take in. She did not get a phone call from Christopher or an officer knocking on her door. The school called her to come pick up her grandchildren first, which already told her something was off. And then while she was still trying to figure out what was going on, she saw a post on Facebook about a shooting in the area and recognized a truck in the image that looked like her daughter's.
Some just told me I had just went down Riverdale. Some was just telling me just turn around and just go see if that's her truck. That's when I seen my son-in-law, and he ran to me, and that's when I really knew it was her, because the way he ran to me and broke down, and I kept asking where my daughter was. He kept saying, saying her name.
She drove to the scene on pure gut feeling, praying the whole time that she was wrong, that it was somebody else's truck and her daughter was fine. And when she pulled up and saw Christopher running toward her and falling apart, she knew without anyone saying a word. He was calling Ashley's name over and over, and he could barely function. So here's what police actually know, or at least what they have been willing to say publicly, because those are 2 very different things in this case. When Memphis police locked down that parking lot on the afternoon of March 6th, dozens of officers secured the entire shopping plaza while detectives worked the scene. When news crews showed up not long after, they spotted a bullet hole in the driver's side window of Ashley's white Audi as it was being towed away, which tells you something about where she was sitting when the shot was fired. The car itself was not parked in a regular space at the time, and some accounts say the vehicle may have been in the process of pulling out of the lot when everything happened. Memphis police classified the incident as an accidental discharge from the jump. Their official position was simple. A child inside the vehicle got hold of a gun and pulled the trigger. That was basically the whole statement. They did not tell the public how old the child was or name the child's gender. What the department did do was put out a list of firearm safety reminders for the public right after the incident, which honestly tells you how they were choosing to frame this whole situation. The tips were things like keep your gun locked and secured, store it unloaded, keep the bullets separate, never leave it somewhere a child can reach it, and pick up a free gun lock from any Memphis police station.
Updating breaking news tonight at 10. People in Hickory Hill are reacting tonight after a woman was shot by a child by accident in a shopping center. Investigators still have a lot of questions about this.
You bet they do. That shooting happened in the middle of the afternoon at a busy area along Shelby Drive in Riverdale. WRG's Caitlin Barker is live after speaking with neighbors. And Caitlin, what are people saying about this tragedy?
Yeah, Greg and Stephanie, people I spoke with are devastated by this accident, and they tell me it could have easily been avoided.
It was an example to show you of what we need to do about gun violence.
A little before 3 this afternoon, police found a woman dead on the scene. Initial reports suggest a child pulled the trigger, but it's unclear where they got the gun and why they fired the shot. It's also unclear where the shot was fired, although we did spot a bullet hole in the driver's side window of a white Audi that was being towed from the scene. One neighbor who saw the commotion this afternoon decided to share his faith and pray with the victim's family, believing it would help them during this difficult time.
Why can I not just say and remind them that there is some place that they've gone on where they will be protected? They will walk the streets with no type of fear, no type of harm done ever again to them.
Darren Abston Jr. hopes this tragedy will remind gun owners to be careful with their weapons, especially around children.
I'm a man of the Air Force, a veteran. A weapon, of course, yet protecting, someone still gets hurt. So therefore, me being a man of God, I've learned, if I can believe that he can protect me, there is no need for a gun.
We're still working to learn more, like the identity of the woman who was shot, the age of the child involved, and who owned the gun that was used in this shooting. Now, it's clear that police believe this was an accident, and they actually released a list of firearm safety reminders, and we have some of those reminders for you. And some include keeping firearms locked and secured, storing your weapons unloaded when they're not being used, and teaching children what to do if they find a gun. Stop.
Useful information, sure, but putting out gun safety tips while releasing almost nothing about the actual circumstances of the shooting left a lot of people with a lot of unanswered questions. The only reason we know the shooter was Ashley's 4-year-old son is because the family said so. Carolyn Hamer told WREG News directly that it was Ashley's 4-year-old son who fired the shot, and that family account has been picked up and reported by multiple credible local outlets. The GoFundMe that Christopher set up lists the 4 surviving children as 16, 11, 4, and 6 years old, which confirms that both the 4-year-old and the 6-year-old were there that day, and the family specifically identified the 4-year-old as the child involved. Now, the internet did what the internet always does when a story like this breaks, which is take whatever fragments are out there and fill in the blanks with things nobody actually confirmed. Within days of Ashley's death, posts started spreading on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts saying the gun was a Glock-style pistol that the child found inside Ashley's purse, and that it was actually a 6-year-old, not a 4-year-old, who pulled the trigger. One widely shared Facebook post described a loaded handgun inside her purse and a weapon described as a Glock-style pistol, while at the same time acknowledging reports did not agree whether the child was 4 or 6.
The confusion about the child's age is actually easy to understand when you know the family. Ashley had both a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and both of them were in that car. People online saw 2 young children were present, got the details crossed, and as the posts got copied and shared and reposted by accounts that were not checking sources, the story morphed. What is confirmed from the family and from credible reporting is that a gun was inside that vehicle, a 4-year-old got to it, and Ashley Kimmons died as a result. And this is where the most uncomfortable question in the whole story comes in, because the question people have been asking out loud since this happened is a fair one.
Ashley's husband was also in the car at the time. So many are asking, how does a 4-year-old get access to a gun in the first place?
Christopher Kimmons, Ashley's husband, was sitting in that car. He was right there. So how does a 4-year-old get to a loaded gun in a car where 2 adults are present? That question has not been answered publicly by anyone because police have not told us where the gun was in the car, and Christopher has not made any statements beyond the GoFundMe. The investigation is still listed as open as of March 20th, 2026, and detectives have said they are still working to figure out exactly how the child accessed the weapon and whether anyone could be charged with negligence as a result. To understand where the Ashley Kimmons case is likely going from a legal standpoint, you need to know about what happened to a young woman named Deja Bennett in a Chicago suburb back in 2022, because the two situations are almost the exact same story, and what happened in that case after the cameras went away tells you a lot. On March 12, 2022, 22-year-old Deja Bennett was killed in the parking lot of a Food for Less grocery store in Dolton, Illinois. She and her partner, a 23-year-old man named Romel Watson, had just finished grocery shopping and came back to the car. Their 3-year-old son was in the back seat. Deja put the little one in his car seat, sat down in the front, and before anyone could do anything, the 3-year-old had found a loaded handgun that had been left in the back seat, picked it up, and the gun went off. The bullet hit Deja in the neck. She died that same night at the hospital. Watson was in the vehicle and immediately admitted the gun was his.
It was Saturday afternoon in this Food for Less parking lot in Dolton when a family's life was changed in an instant. Police saying a 3-year-old boy got hold of a gun in the back seat of his parents' car and began playing with the weapon. It discharged, hitting his mother, 22-year-old Deja Bennett, in the neck. She died a short time later.
This could have been prevented.
Dolton trustee and crisis responder Andrew Holmes stood outside the supermarket today handing out gun locks, 400 in all, speaking to shoppers, families in particular, about the importance of gun safety.
It's very important. I feel that a lot of people, if you do have guns at home, put them up, lock them up. Because if you have little children, it doesn't matter. They get into any and everything.
All it takes is a second, unlock it, thread it through the barrel, bring it back around, put it in, and lock it back. That's if you want to leave that gun inside that car. If you leave it, secure it.
The little boy's father, who was also present at the time of the shooting, is now in custody as police determine whether there are any charges to be filed against him.
Think about how closely that mirrors what happened to Ashley. So what happened to Romel Watson legally? He was charged with a misdemeanor, specifically for unlawful use of a weapon based on how the gun was stored and transported in the vehicle. Illinois law requires that if you are carrying a gun in a car and you do not have a concealed carry license, it has to be stored in a locked container and unloaded. Watson had a firearm owner's card but not a concealed carry license, and the gun was loaded and sitting loose in the back seat where a 3-year-old could grab it. He was processed and released the same day the charge was filed. No felony or manslaughter charges, no prison time. He just got a misdemeanor, and then life went on, except Deja Bennett was still dead. That outcome is painful to sit with, but it is the realistic picture of how these cases are handled. A community activist named Andrew Holmes, who was on scene that night, said something that pretty much explains the whole cycle. Some people put these guns in the seat, they don't take it in the house, and they forget when they come out in the morning that their children are getting inside of the car. And all of a sudden that gun rolls out from underneath the seat of the car and the child gets a hold of it. He also said that the 3-year-old who fired that gun was going to carry that with him for the rest of his life. And that is true whether the legal system does anything or not. The day after Deja was killed, Holmes went right back to that same grocery store parking lot and handed out 400 free gun locks to people coming and going, showing them exactly how to use one, explaining that it takes less than a minute to secure a weapon properly. Memphis police did the same thing in their messaging after Ashley's death, pointing people toward free gun locks at police stations and reminding gun owners that leaving a loaded firearm loose in a car with children is how these tragedies happen. The pattern is the same every single time, and it keeps repeating itself. That is the part that should make you mad. Now back to Ashley's family and where things stand today. Carolyn has been carrying the public side of the family's grief, and she told reporters that the family has a lot of unanswered questions about how all of this happened. What Carolyn did make clear is what she plans to do with the rest of her life going forward.
Fighting to stay strong for her entire family, Hamer says what the family needs the most is prayer and support for her grandchildren and son-in-law, who is now missing time for work to tend to his grieving children.
We're going to stick together as a family, and we're going to raise my grandkids. Whatever I need to do or whatever needs to be done for them, that's what we're going to do.
Ashley is memorialized on gunmemorial.org, where people have been leaving notes and lighting candles, most of them coming back to the same point, that this was preventable, and that an unsecured gun in a car with children in it is not a freak accident waiting to happen once in a while. It is a preventable tragedy that keeps happening because people keep treating it like it could never happen to them, until it does. What do you think about this case? Let me know in the comments section. Also, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.